Hello, I'm Gabriel Gonsalves, an international coach, teacher, and trainer specialized in the field of heart intelligence. I help people create relationships, lifestyles, and careers that they absolutely love. And I do this by showing you how to access your inner resources of love, joy, wisdom, and power that become available to you when you start connecting with your emotional, intuitive, energetic, and spiritual heart. Through individual and group coaching programs, online courses, and live seminars, I teach a wholehearted approach to personal and spiritual development, emotional mastery, and conscious relationship building. Basically, I'm here to help you give birth to the most amazing, loving, joyful, and powerful version of you. You can find out more about me and the work that I've been called to do in this world by visiting my website, www.heartintelligencecoach.com. There, you will be able to book a session with me and find out more about my upcoming seminars. Today, in Matters of the Heart, we're talking to Jeff Foster. Jeff is a spiritual teacher and author from England who, with humor and compassion, loves teaching and speaking about non-duality in a very simple and direct way. He also enjoys talking about emotional healing and the process of heart awakening, or just awakening to the greater reality about your life. The type of reality where you begin to find the sacred in the ordinary life that you live. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation with Jeff.
It is awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. I just want to say that to our audience that it's been really fascinating time over the past 3.5 days to just be here sitting with Jeff, an incredible group of about 20, 25, 30 people. There's been tremendous amount of just aha moments that people have experienced. And I have to say, just from somebody that is actually relatively new to Jeff's work, that what has really moved me or impressed me the most about Jeff is his ability to be fully available, present, real, authentic in every one of the meetings and whoever he's with. And regardless of whether if it's the closest people to him or just a complete stranger who's addressing him, he has that ability to make you feel very important, as if you were the only person in the world. So Jeff, it's really a delight to be able to have this conversation with you. And I haven't really shared this with you in the small time that we've shared together, but I want to tell you a little bit about how I came up upon you, how I stumbled upon you. But I happened to read that report where you were named among like the top 100 most influential spiritual teachers, living spiritual teachers of our time.
Apparently, I'm living.
Yeah. And and what came up really strongly for me was that you were actually the youngest in that list. And so I thought to myself, wow, I need to look this guy, like, who is this young guy who's like supposed to be, supposed to know so much. So the first thing that came up was like a YouTube video where somebody was interviewing you, and this interview lasted for about 20 minutes, and all you did was laugh nonstop. That was like my introduction to you. So, sure, if you can go look up that interview anytime you want to. But he's just like, every time he's about to start speaking, they break down into a laugh, and I don't think they ever did the interview. The whole interview was just really him like laughing for 20 minutes, and the other guy, because they got this uncontrollable laugh attack. So when I saw that, I said, this is one guy I really would love to be able to hang out with. So when I heard that you were going to come, I told myself I have to be there because I wanted to hang out. So how in your story, how is it that you became a spiritual teacher, and not only that, to be to even make it on this list?
How did I become a spiritual teacher? I don't think I ever did.
You're still working at it.
I mean, at no point did I never consciously decided to become a teacher, or even a spiritual teacher. I mean, I guess a few years ago I was just I was invited to talk. By that point, I think I had a book out. I had a book published in the UK. It's a kind of a collection of stuff I'd written over the previous few years, and I was just invited to talk, and it I mean, at that point, because I never had a spiritual, I never had a teacher myself. I mean, I'd never had a guru, or I'd never been to a retreat in my life. I'd never met with any teacher. I mean, I'd read a lot of books, and I'd done a lot of meditation, and just sitting and looking at my thoughts, and looking at basically exploring my own suffering. But I never had a teacher, so I didn't really know I didn't know what a spiritual teacher was, really, or what they were supposed to do, what they were supposed to say. I mean, I never really. I mean, I still don't. I actually don't see myself as a teacher. I don't see myself certainly as a spiritual. I mean, I've always from the beginning seen what I do as it's just a kind of, it's a sharing. It's sitting with friends, with equals. I can't for a moment pretend that I'm superior to anyone, or that I actually know more than anyone here. I guess this isn't really about knowing more. It's, in a strange way, it's about knowing less.
Knowing less and sharing the journey.
Sharing the journey, and sharing what I've discovered, or what I've seen, or what I've realized. I've certainly, I mean, in my short life, I've known quite intense suffering and despair, and depression and anxiety, and terrible shyness and self-consciousness, and I seem to have found some freedom in that, or freedom from that, or some way out of that. I mean, however you want to say it. I don't really it's funny, I don't really hold on to the story of my life too much. It's this is more about the meetings that I do these days. They're more about just sitting together, exploring our experience together, and finding some place of deep acceptance within what's happening. I mean, whatever is happening. So that's what I appear to be doing with my life. It was never really planned this way. But I guess the best things in life aren't planned. If someone had told me 5 years ago that I would be, but even that I would be doing meetings, I mean, let alone traveling around the world doing retreats, and let alone doing interviews and people asking me about my life and how I became a spiritual teacher. I would have, if someone had told me that 5 years ago, I would have laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. But this is what's happening.
That's beautiful. So, what culturally do you belong to? Any any tradition? Are you Jewish? Were you raised Christian?
My parents were Jewish, but not really Jewish. So we weren't really religious. And I mean, from a very early age, I rejected religion. I'm structured religion. I was never really interested. I was an atheist really most of my life. I rejected anything religious, spiritual. No one can tell me what to do. I mean, I studied science at university, so I was very rational. I only believed in if something couldn't be proved through science, I wasn't interested. And then in my early 20s, I had this. Well, I was living in London. I had this breakdown. I'd been depressed by my whole life, really, and it just got worse as I got older. It got worse and worse. And then living in London, I was in this relationship with this girl, and it was incredibly intense, and we were going to get married, and she was going to save me, and then it all fell apart, as these things sometimes do. And it sent me into just deep despair. I was at rock bottom, and then on top of that, I got quite ill as well. I guess my body was reacting to that. I was quite ill, so everything just fell apart. My whole life fell apart, and in hindsight, it was great. I'm so pleased it all fell apart, because that's what started me asking these questions, these basic questions about life, like, who am I, and what is life all about? Is life really all about making money, being a success, finding a partner who will complete me, and is life all about the future? Or I started to explore teachings of Buddhism, and I started to meditate, and I just started to ask these fundamental questions about life and about death as well. I was fascinated with death. I never thought about death. And suddenly, because of this breakdown, I just started thinking about death, and well, geez, one day I'm going to die, and it could be tomorrow.
Mm.
So what the hell am I doing with my life? If I can die tomorrow, what the hell am I doing? And I started. Life is so incredibly precious. What the hell am I doing? Working in a job that I hate, and so all sorts of things started to change, and I started to I started to look for enlightenment. I mean, that at that point I got really interested in all these teachings of enlightenment. But I was really, as I said, I never actually went to a teacher or a guru, but I read a lot. I read all sorts of books. I was like an obsessive seeker, looking for the answers. I read books on Buddhism, Christianity, Judaism, Zen, Sufism, Christian. I mean, everything. And I became obsessed with enlightenment. I thought enlightenment was the answer. And one day I would become enlightened, and I tried to become enlightened, did everything to become enlightened. That didn't work. So in the end, I was left exhausted. In a way, I tried everything. To basically, I realize now what I was doing. I was trying to escape what is. I mean, it's a very simple way of saying. These are all just very complicated ways of avoiding.
Sure.
Feeling what I actually felt in the moment, of basically avoiding this moment. That's really what I was doing. And I was in a way I was so intelligent. I was educated at Cambridge, and my mind was so clever at finding like ways of avoiding feeling what I felt, ways of avoiding this moment. These sensations, these feelings, these thoughts, ways of escape. So I was very clever. I was very, very clever at escape. So, and at some point it all just fell apart. I just realized basically you can't escape this moment. And that's what really changed things. It's like from that point, the focus of my life became this moment, and allowing what's here. That's that was the basic realization, and over the next few years it kind of deepened, and but that really became the focus of my life, is recognizing who I really was. Which, as I share these days, who you really are is just an open space, a wide open space, in which every thought, every sensation, every feeling is allowed. All of life is allowed in you. All the good stuff and the bad stuff. All this. The positive, happy emotions like joy and bliss and excitement. And what's also allowed in you is what we call the negative stuff. Fear is allowed in you. Sadness is allowed in you. Even pain is allowed in you. Like that's what you are. Seems to be vast enough to allow all of it, and I just realized that my whole life, that's really what I'd been looking for, was who I really was, and I'd been looking for it in the future. I'd been looking for it through other people. I'd been looking for it through religion,
right.
And even through spirituality. But I've been looking for it outside of this present moment, which is all there is. So that's really what I share these days, is just this deep acceptance of the present moment, which is really what you are. What you are is that deep acceptance.
Right.
What you are is just the capacity, the wide open space in which every thought, every sensation, every feeling is allowed. Like what you are embraces all of life, and you could also call that love. Actually, I should probably use the word love, since that's
well, that's what I like to call it too.
Yeah.
So this thing called love, right? Which is, I really do believe. I mean, from past 3.5 days I've been listening to you. To me, there is no doubt, because this is my language. I call it, he's just really talking about love. But and this obvious, this is your core message. But if you had to explain this to like a 5-year-old kid, right?
Well, I wouldn't have to. They'd probably already know it.
Yeah. No, well, let's suppose
Well,
it's a
maybe
little
not.
kid who just got off the a UFO from a different planet.
Okay.
No, but let's suppose, sometimes what happens, I in my experience, when we get too philosophical about this spiritual concepts of acceptance, is, it becomes just another idea. So how would you explain this to just a kid who just wants to know, like, let's say is your kid, that, what is it that you do? Where do you go around? What is it that you tell people every time you travel, Daddy?
Well,
So what would you say?
I first say, why are you calling me Daddy? You're not my son. But, so I think my basic message, if I could really say it very, very simply, is you're perfect as you are. You're perfect exactly as you are. It's the thing we forget that. We don't, we forget that we are perfect as we are. We forget that we are deeply okay as we are. Even when, feelings like sadness are appearing in us, feelings like, fear is appearing, or even when there's pain, somehow, even within that experience, we're fine. Like we're okay. That who we really are, is okay, in a way that we can't understand, in a way that we'll never be able to understand. Even when there's pain in you, or there's fear in you, or there's sadness in you, somehow all of it is allowed in you, and there's, on the deepest level, there's nothing wrong with you. Because I think so many people live with that basic feeling that there's something wrong with them. On the deepest level, there must be something wrong with them. And then it's like we spend our whole lives trying to work out what's wrong with us, or trying to get rid of everything that we think is wrong with us, and become some perfect being. So what we end up doing is we reject, we reject certain thoughts and feelings in ourselves. We don't want to feel them. We try and push them away because we think they shouldn't be there. But that's what we've been taught. We've been taught that we shouldn't feel sad, or we shouldn't feel angry, or we shouldn't feel fear, or we shouldn't have these kinds of thoughts or those kinds of thoughts. And the reality is, they still appear in us. The metaphor I use a lot is the metaphor of the ocean and the waves. So what you are is like a vast ocean. And throughout the ages, we've used words like consciousness, or awareness, or spirit, or source, or God, or love, actually.
Right.
But in the end, it doesn't really matter what word you use. You might call it love, someone else might call it consciousness, or someone else might call it God or spirit, or I think.
I just when I'm talking to people, I said, I don't care what you call it, just call it forth.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what you call it, you are it.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what you call it.
Embrace it.
Embrace it. Yeah. So if what you are is the ocean, then what appears in the ocean are all these little waves. So thoughts are waves, sensations are waves, feelings are waves, sounds are waves, smells are waves. All of these waves are always appearing and disappearing in what you are, but what you are remains. This is really what we forget, that who we really are is ever present and can't be destroyed, ultimately can't be hurt. A wave can't hurt the ocean. How a feeling, however intense it is, even if it's very intense sadness, for example. Say, we talk about relationships. Say you've ended a relationship. A relationship is over, and a huge wave of grief is appearing. A huge wave of sadness is appearing. So what we normally do is we don't fully allow ourselves to feel that, because we've been taught to believe that there's something wrong with sadness, or we shouldn't feel sad, or we shouldn't feel too sad.
Right. There's the whole idea of happy ever after.
Yeah. We believe that we should that we should feel certain feelings and we shouldn't feel other feelings. And the truth is, all feelings are allowed in what you are, not just the good, not just what we call the positive ones or the good ones. And that's funny, isn't it? That we split reality like that. We call some feelings positive and some feelings negative, or some are good and some are evil, even, or some are healthy, some are unhealthy. But the reality is, as this vast ocean of love or of consciousness, whatever you call it, as this ocean, this ever-present ocean, all feelings are allowed in what you are.
Right.
So even if a wave is very, very intense, even if a very intense wave appears, like very intense sadness, still what you are can't be threatened by that. In a way that you can't understand, what you are in this moment is it's actually allowing that sadness to be there. What you are is actually saying yes to that sadness. What you are doesn't need to escape the sadness, because what you are is deeply allowing that sadness to be there, and it will, as a wave, it will come and go. It's like allowing it to just pass through you. Because what we normally do, we don't allow it. We don't allow some of these waves because we're, on some level, it's like we're afraid of them. Why are we afraid to feel whatever is appearing in the moment? Why are we afraid to feel it?
We're just not taught in the school.
We're not taught.
By our parents who actually serve as our main.
Yeah.
Or movies. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like as a kid, you feel sad, so you might go up to mummy or daddy and you express it, or you burst into tears in front of them, or you even just tell them that you're sad, and inevitably, out of love, they'll try and make you happy.
Right.
They'll try and take the sadness away, make you feel better, or they'll say, or they'll ask you, what's wrong.
Right.
That's a question we love to ask. What's wrong? We always ask that. What's wrong?
Right.
It's a funny question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's also the where the problem starts, if you think about it. Yeah. Jeff, for anybody who might be listening to us, who might just be feeling like, okay, I don't really understand what he's talking about. I'm just in pain right now, and because somebody broke my heart, or I just got fired from my job, and I feel like shit. I have all these feelings, but I still have to get out there and function in the world. How do you get over a big disappointment like this? How do you get over a broken heart? Is there such a thing as a broken heart?
Well, there is intense pain, intense grief, intense fear. That's what obviously that's what can appear, especially after you've lost someone that you love, or something that you had has left, or something that you thought would last forever has finished. It's like so often in life we're faced with something happens that we didn't want it to happen. We thought life would be different. We hoped and expected that life would be different, and and then what can appear is, in that situation, is great sadness or grief or despair, even despair or fear. And the thing is, when you recognizing who you really are, who you really are is this vast ocean in which these feelings are allowed. However intense the sadness is, however intense the pain is, just recognize in this moment that what you are is still present, is still here. No matter how intense the wave is, as the ocean, you're still present. And that the pain is, in a way, however much you don't want it to be there, it's there. And so on some level, it's already allowed to be there. On some level, it's already allowed to be here. It's already been allowed into what you are. And in a way, we're afraid to really feel the pain, because on some level, it's like we're afraid that something will break. We're afraid that somehow our heart will break, or and we won't be able to fix it. It will break and it will stay broken. Or we're worried that, like, the intensity of it. Sometimes these waves can be so intense, feelings can be so intense. It's like, oh, if I really just allowed this, it would destroy me. But the great discovery is that what you are actually can't be destroyed. What you are can't be broken. So in a very strange and paradoxical way, when you allow your heart to break, fully break, that's when your heart can't break.
Right. It
In
cannot
fact,
break.
it
It
can't
can
break.
actually open more than anything.
Yeah, well, exactly, because it can take anything. What you are can take it as the ocean. You can take any wave, however intense it is, and however uncomfortable it is, and however much the mind wishes that wave wasn't there. The reality is that this is what you're feeling right now,
Right.
and so it's not to pretend that you're not feeling that. It's not about pushing that feeling away. It's not about you can hope we hope that the feeling will go away, and still in this moment it's here. And so I always talk about everything as a invitation, you know, a wave of pain or fear or sadness appearing now. It's not a threat to what you are. It's not going to break who you really are. What might be broken are your dreams of how this moment should be. Your dreams of how life should have gone. That's what can break in a way. It's your hopes and dreams of how your life should have been, how things should have worked out. But that's the mind.
That's a story.
That's
completely
the story.
A story. Yeah. So I have this thing when I work with clients. I have this saying that goes, "There's not such a thing as a broken heart. Only a heart that is getting ready to love more." And I completely agree with you. Listening to you this past few days, I realized the deeper meaning behind this phrase, and it's just that it's not your heart that it's breaking. It's your mind, your idea, your image that you had about what love was supposed to be, and then all of a sudden, by life giving you the opportunity or an invitation to shatter that idea, then your heart actually expands, or your capacity to love, or to see love beyond that story. Even if you end up moving to other bigger bigger and better, stories, but at least you are expanding your capacity to love.
In this moment, even if great pain is appearing, and this really goes against everything that we're taught about love, but pain doesn't mean you've lost love. You can't lose love. True love, you can't lose. What you are is the love that you think you've lost. What you are is real love, is true love that can't come and go. And in this moment, that pain is allowed. It's another way of saying that is love somehow allows pain. Pain doesn't block love. Pain doesn't mean that love is missing. Pain, in a way, is just an invitation to realize that love is vaster than you ever thought it was. That love is bigger. Love is more all-encompassing and more deeply accepting than you ever thought possible. Our ideas of love are so limited. Pain, even intense pain, is just a massive invitation to let go of all your, as you said, all your ideas of what love is. Because so often we think that, and we're taught, this is our conditioning, love. We think that love means feeling good all the time, or love is just feeling nice, happy, positive feelings. So then when pain appears, we feel so lost. We feel lost and alone and helpless, and we feel that we had love and now we've lost love because pain is here. If pain is here, it must mean love has gone. But the pain is actually an invitation to realize that true love hasn't gone. Your idea of love maybe has gone, but true love, which is the love that you are, is still here somehow, and again in a way that you can't understand.
Yeah,
you can't understand.
It is the way that I see it is that it's expressing through the pain. It's expressing through the feelings of joy. It's expressing through the maybe the act of forgiveness or that deep compassion, or maybe sometimes the disgust. You talk a great deal about the metaphor of the wave and the ocean, and I also, and you've spoken about how it's important not to label the emotions because the mind wants to label the emotions good or bad.
Good or bad.
Yeah. And so I like this idea because we're talking about water. So every time emotions come up, I'll just call it juice. I call it juice. So when I'm working with a client, I said, just let go of the label, good or bad, anger or this. Just call it juice. Let me know, what does that juice feel like? Where
juice.
is it?
Yeah. I like that.
And then, because then I realize when we connect with that juice, which ultimately it's an expression of love from where I see it, then you can use that juice to hopefully maybe channel it or direct it into what you really want. So at that moment, then, by fully embracing it, then it's like it's transformed. But not because my goal is transforming. My goal is to befriend it, is to
That's your own. That is
be
your only
friend.
goal, is to
Yeah.
deeply allow.
Yeah.
That's in a way, that's your only job. That's your only job in life, I think. Is deeply allow whatever life throws at you, whatever thoughts, whatever sensations, whatever feelings. It's all juice.
It's all juice.
You know, it's all. They're all the waves, and all the waves are water. They're not separate from the ocean, which is what you are. They feel, in a way. Once you label the waves, you call this anger, you call this fear, you call this pain. In a way, now it feels like it's something separate from you. It's something that shouldn't be there. But when you realize actually it's just water. It's just a wave in the ocean. And as a wave in the ocean, not only is it allowed in what you are, but it's not separate from what you are. Not only is it allowed in what you are, but it's not separate from what you are. And anything that appears can be used for that realization. Life doesn't give you, in a way, life doesn't throw anything at you that can't be used for that realization. Right. Even the intense pain of a breakup. Either you see the pain as the worst thing that's ever happened to you, and you just can't wait for it to go away, or you see it as a real invitation. Can this also be allowed? Maybe your whole life you were never able to allow it, but it's, or your whole life you thought this could never be allowed. But life keeps on throwing these things at you. Life is just showing you, look, everything actually can be allowed. What you are is vast enough to allow it all. And in that allowing, you open up to the kind of love that you never thought was possible. But even pain can be used. Even the most intense pain that we spend our whole lives running away from. That's because that's what we're taught. We're taught pain is bad, love is good, or fear is bad and joy is good. But actually, none of it is good or bad. It's all juice. It's all juice.
Raw juice, unpasteurized.
Raw juice.
Actually, it's funny because and I did a course on raw food preparation. Most raw food already contains within itself the enzymes that you need in order to digest it. So when it's raw emotion, it's almost like it contains within itself your ability to deeply allow it and digest it. Really interesting.
That's right. That's beautiful.
Yeah, rather than trying to boil them and pasteurize them, which is kind of what we do. So, in your teaching, is there space for the heart? Do you ever talk about the heart? We look at the heart as the organ of love. The center. It's the very first organ that actually forms in a fetus. I don't know if you know that. But actually, the very first organ that's developed is the heart. You know what the second one is?
No.
The tongue.
Really?
Yeah. Quite interesting, huh? Yeah, so, and it's also, there's a tremendous amount of research done by what's called the Heart Math Institute. It talks about the electromagnetic field of the heart being something like 10,000 times more powerful than the electromagnetic field that is generated by the brain. So do you, given these things, what are some of your thoughts, ideas? Do you talk about the heart when you work with people? What role does the heart play in spirituality and this thing of fully accepting? Is it the heart that accepts it? Do we accept our heart? I mean, I don't know. I'm just here, just really curious, making this question long as to give you time to
give you time to think about it.
Think about it.
keep on going.
Because I don't even...
Keep on talking. Well, it's in a way, it's all heart. If heart just means love, I mean, I think heart is just a symbol for love, isn't it? I mean, the actual physical organ, the heart, it pumps blood around the body. That's
pumps the juice.
Pumps the juice around the body. In a way, we've always. It's funny. It's part of our conditioning. Is we've been taught that heart and mind are somehow separate. There's the mind and there's the heart. The mind thinks and the heart loves. But actually, I don't think they were ever separate in the first place.
Right.
In what you are in a way is the absolute union of heart and mind. What you are doesn't split between heart and mind. There's a lovely quote I sometimes quote. It's by the spiritual teacher Nisargadatta Maharaj. It's a very beautiful quote. He says, wisdom tells me that I am nothing, but love tells me that I'm everything. And between the two, my life flows. It's like heart and mind. But I go even further than that. I'd say that heart and mind, it's not even between the two my life flows. They are one. In this deep acceptance, that I talk about, there's no split between heart and mind. I mean, it's wisdom and it's love. It's clarity and it's love. So, I mean, I was talking about this in the meetings, on this retreat, that, when pain is deeply allowed in us, I mean, any kind of pain, when we just notice that in this moment, what we are is already holding the pain. What we are is already allowing in the pain. In a way, anything that appears in you has already been allowed. I mean, this is a really huge realization. They really don't teach this to you in school. But if anything is appearing in you, any thought, any sensation, any feeling, even if it's very intense pain, what you are has already allowed it in. That's why it can be here, because somehow life has already allowed it in. You're only, in a way, you're only ever facing, in your own experience, you're only ever facing what's already been allowed in. So what you are, in a sense, is both nothing and everything. And this to the mind, this sounds like a complete paradox. What you are is nothing, in the sense it's no thing, it can't be defined. What you are ultimately can't be defined. And we have all sorts of thoughts and stories about ourselves. I'm this, I'm that, I'm good, I'm bad, I'm lucky, I'm unlucky, I'm enlightened, I'm not enlightened, I'm lovable, I'm unlovable, blah,
I'm
blah,
love.
blah. Yeah. But ultimately, what we are can't be defined. It can't be defined. So in that sense, it's nothing. And recognizing that is wisdom. It's clarity, wisdom. But at the same time, what you are, as that open space that can't be defined, as that ocean, is also allowing in right now in this moment. I'm not talking in like an abstract sense. Look in this moment. In this moment, just notice the thoughts, the feelings, the sensations that are appearing, in you. So these thoughts are appearing, these sensations are appearing, these feelings. Right now there might be a feeling of sadness or fear or confusion or pain. But just notice that, again, in a way that you can't understand. Don't try to understand it intellectually, but just notice these feelings, these thoughts are already here. So on some level, they are already allowed in you. We talk about allowing, we talk about trying to allow, trying to accept. We talk about, oh, well, one day I'll find acceptance. One day I'll find someone who will accept me. Because in relationships, that's often what we're looking for.
Or I'll find the right and perfect partner.
Or I'll find the right and perfect partner, and they will unconditionally love me and unconditionally accept me 24 hours a day, 365 days a year until I die. That would be the ideal.
Yep.
That would be the ideal thing.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful dream. But so often we get so disappointed when they don't live up to that. I mean, who can live up to that, really? That image, we long for someone to unconditionally love us and unconditionally accept us, no matter what we feel, no matter what we think, no matter what we say, no matter what we do. So, good luck.
Yeah, but we are the only person that
That's
can
exactly
do
it.
that. Yeah.
What we're really looking for, I think, in a relationship on the deepest level, what we're really looking for is what we already are. What you are is that unconditional acceptance. That's already allowing in this moment. What you are has already allowed your present experience. It's allowing you in this moment to feel exactly what you feel, and it's not judging you for it. What you are is allowing you to feel this pain right now, and it's not punishing you for it. It's not saying that you're wrong. It's not saying that you shouldn't feel it. It's what we seek in a partner actually is what we already are. And so recognizing that in yourself spares your partner, and it makes life a hell of a lot simpler and easier and more fun.
Yeah, and it really lets them off the hook.
It lets them off the hook big time.
Yeah, it takes away a tremendous amount of responsibility for them to make you happy.
Oh, it's I mean, that's a beautiful realization that no one can make you happy. No one can provide you with the love that you seek. No one can no one can take away your pain for you. You know, and of course, then when people don't live up to those expectations, this person doesn't live up to my expectation. Well, then maybe the next one will. And so we go from one part to the next part to the next part, waiting for the one. I mean, we talk about looking for the one. What are we really looking for is the one that we are.
Right.
The one, as in the one, meaning the wide open space, the ocean, in which every thought, every sensation, every feeling right now is deeply allowed. That's the one. You are the one. Yeah, you are the one that you seek.
That gives a whole different meaning to, you know, when I talk to people and I tell them that you must become the person that you want to date, you know. And it's not that you have to develop those qualities, but you must begin by first deeply loving and accepting yourself before expecting anybody else to want to be in that space.
Because it's only once you can deeply accept all the waves in yourself, the pain, even the pain, the fear, the sadness, everything, that you'll be able to accept it in someone else. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just waiting the rest of your life for acceptance, you know, and you just start to use people for that, and
you put it somewhere out in the future. God knows when that will ever be.
Yeah.
Jeff, I wanted to tell you that from where I see you, from my perspective, I see you are the kind of a spiritual teacher that really wears your heart on your sleeves, you know, and just from being part of the meetings, you know, the fact that you laugh so much and everybody laughs so much, you know, there's a tremendous amount of research done on, you know, what happens when people laugh and what happens actually your heart opens and the electromagnetic, you know, energy or the frequency, you know, what radiates out of an open heart actually opens the hearts of the people around it. You know, that's what heart math has discovered. Our hearts radiate these electromagnetic fields that can be about 15 feet, you know, like in each direction. So, you know, one of the reasons why I feel that you are being so successful with your message, you know, and so many people are seeking you is because you are the heart-inspired or heart-based spiritual teacher or spiritual guide. You know, would you agree with that? Do you recognize what I'm just saying? Is there some resonance?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just don't take life so seriously anymore. I realize, you know, I used to take life so I used to take myself so seriously, as in the image of myself. You know, that's when life becomes very serious. You're trying to protect an image of yourself. You forget who you really are, which doesn't need protection, and you start to protect and defend some identity, some false identity, some story of who you are. So then life becomes very serious because it's a 24-hour job trying to protect your image of yourself.
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
It's a lot
of energy. Yeah.
It's a hell of a lot of energy. So in my experience, life kind of loses this basic sense of heaviness and, in recognizing who you really are, which doesn't need protection. Like I don't feel anymore really that I'm trying to defend any kind of image of myself. Even as a teacher, you know, even as a teacher, I don't really see myself as a teacher. It's more of a friend. So
yeah, you're part of that new paradigm that, I don't know if you heard of this expression. It says that the new paradigm is the old paradigm was the sage on the stage.
Oh,
now is the guide on the side. We've gone from the stage on the stage to the guide on the side. So yeah, you become like the body, you know, the somebody that's not saying do as I'm doing, but you're saying I'm going first, and I'm just going to live this way. And if you guys feel like, I'm going to share with you guys the journey.
Yeah, the old way is you know, the teacher telling the student how to live. Here's how to live. That's the old way. The teacher, the guru, telling the student, look, this is the best way to live. This is how you should live. Follow me, become like me. I want you to copy me. I want you to live like me. So that doesn't interest me at all. That never worked for me.
Right, but there's more separation more than anything.
More separation.
Because you feel like, oh my God, when am I ever going to be like this? When I'm going to have these experiences? When? And it again places your happiness, your joy, your love, your enlightenment somewhere out in the future.
It places it way outside this present moment.
Mm.
So that doesn't interest me. Separating, pretending that I'm fundamentally different from anyone, it doesn't really interest me. I mean, because I'm not particularly interested in holding up any image of myself. Like, this is what we're sharing here is everyone's birthright. Freedom, love, whatever you want to call it. It's everyone's birthright. What we're talking about is who you really are. So who I really am, beyond the story of myself as this or that, as a teacher or a student, as enlightened or unenlightened, as successful or failure, or all the stories we tell about ourselves. Beyond all of those stories, who I am is who you are. So there's that absolute equality. So then the meetings that I do, they're really, as I said, they're really just, we sit as friends, as equals. And just because I'm sitting at the front, and just because people have come to see me talk, or have come to hear me talk, or have come to my retreat, doesn't mean that I'm essentially any different from them. That's just the role. That's just a temporary role that I'm playing within this dream. It doesn't mean that I'm any more. I'm superior, or I'm fundamentally different, or I'm more special than anyone. Perhaps I have something to share. Perhaps I have some certain insights, ways of seeing things, ways in which my own suffering seems to have evaporated in many ways. And I love sharing that with others. I'm happy to share that, but it doesn't mean that fundamentally I'm different or more special or more enlightened or anything. That's the old way. That's the old. You're right. That's the old paradigm. I'm special and you're not, or I'm enlightened and you're not, or I've gone beyond my humanness and you haven't, or follow me, worship me, give me enough money, and maybe one day you'll be like me. That's the old way, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. It doesn't, because it just keeps the separation going. And what this is really about is the end of separation in all its forms. So if you're teaching in a way that is based in separation, surely it's just going to continue the separation. So that doesn't really interest me. What interests me is who you really are.
So why exactly? Why do you do? And I know trying to why we can get into a story of the mind, but what is it that really makes you get on those airplanes? So many times a year, go to retreats, be far away from home, be
Google
far away.
Calendar.
Google Calendar.
I follow Google Calendar.
But really, what is it? Do you want to change the world? You want to make this a more loving, accepting world? Is there something, an ideal behind you? And I know you're so in the moment that you're probably going to say something like, "No, I'm just being who I really am." But please give me something. Give us a story. Why? Why? What is it about you? Is it that you become more accepting the more you show others? Is it that you become more alive, more healed, more whole? I mean, more than you already are. But what is it?
Thank you for giving me so much time to think about the answer. You're a really brilliant interviewer, I have to say.
Thank you. I just gave you 3 more seconds.
Oh, you give me a few more there. That's great. I still don't have an answer. But
if you want to, we can just pause the recording, and then when you're ready, we can just click on record.
Why do I do this? I mean, I love it. I mean, I think that's probably the best answer. I don't feel like I'm on any kind of mission to save the world or to save people. Or to convert people or to make people see things the way I do. I've never felt that. There is a simple joy and intimacy and love, I think, in sharing this. There's something very intimate about it. Because we're not gathering to compare and contrast our stories and our achievements and we're kind of going beyond all of that, and we're really meeting each other as we really are. We're exposing what's actually here. We're not pretending. All the pretending falls away. All the facade, the games that we play, and what's left is just us as we actually are now. And people are so beautiful, really, just as they are. They don't need to pretend. We don't need to pretend. Why do we need to pretend to be strong when we feel weak? Just feel weak. Show your weakness. Expose your weakness, because we all feel it. Why pretend? I mean, we pretend so much. We pretend to know. We pretend to be certain. We pretend to know. We pretend to be right when really underneath we don't know. So just admit you don't know. Admit to me you don't know, because I don't know either. Right? And that there's something very beautiful about that I can't really put into. I guess it's love.
Yeah.
I guess it's love. I guess it's love.
Yeah, even if it's just love for yourself, to just be able to say, I'm not going to put myself into that kind of a pressure to have to know it all. So I'm just going to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just accept it.
I guess in a way as well. I mean, also I do feel that I'm just meeting myself. I mean, time and time again, every meeting I do, everyone I speak to, everyone I have dialogue, I feel like I'm meeting myself. Everyone feels so familiar.
Yeah. No, I could completely relate to what you're saying, because I feel that my workshops that I facilitate, groups that I coach, I feel like everybody is a camouflage version of me.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I really feel that. And it makes
self in disguise.
Yeah, it allows me to be more loving, more compassionate with them.
And that's, yeah. And if you ever feel, what fascinates me is if I ever feel something uncomfortable with someone, just to sit with that, because maybe that can really teach me something that I'm still holding on to, some image of myself I'm still holding on to. Like what can you threaten? Even when I mean, in the past 4 or 5 years doing these meetings, people have said some pretty challenging things to me. They've really put me on the spot. And sometimes people get, I mean, this kind of stuff that I do, the work that I do, brings up so many emotions for people. Sometimes even frustration and rage, even. Yeah. And then people get angry at me sometimes, because in a way, I think I'm challenging some of their most basic assumptions about life and their most precious beliefs. Yeah. And so it's been really a challenge for me to sit with that.
Yeah, but any great spiritual teachers, who've been in line with this, some of them have had to pay with their own lives, just because they came to actually speak their truth and remind everybody who they really were. So I completely relate to what you're saying.
In a way, it's very, sitting in front of a group of 20, 30 people, it's, and not protecting an image of myself. It's a very vulnerable place to be in a way. And I think I do try and open myself up to everyone, and to not push anyone away, and to really listen to what everyone's saying, even if people are very frustrated or angry, or they're being very critical about something I've just said, or they deeply disagree with my teaching, that or they completely reject my teaching totally. That's happened before. And then just to meet them in that, to really listen to them, and not to move to defend my teaching, because that's when you become a guru, or when you start to defend your own teaching.
Right.
What I find is this teaching doesn't need to be defended.
Exactly. Because if you have to defend it, it means that somewhere deep inside of you feel that there's something that is not true.
Absolutely.
And you're not, or that you yourself are not even sure about it. So it makes sense. I'd love to be able to talk to you some more, but the whole hour has gone by so quickly. So, what's next for you? Like, where are you off to after this? And then how can people find out more about you? What is the name of your book? Where can people get it? And obviously, your contact information, your website.
Well, everything about me and my teaching is on my website, which is www.lifewithoutacenter.com. And I have a new book coming out in November this year, published by Sounds True, and it's called The Deepest Acceptance. The Deepest Acceptance, Radical Awakening in Ordinary Life. And that's my first book in a few years. I really...
was the description of what the book is about.
I couldn't remember what my own book's about. I guess the title gives it away. The deepest acceptance.
Yes, laughing with Jeff.
And I should also point out I'm. Oh, jeez. What should I point? Everything's on the website.
Okay. Yes, center is TRE.
Center is TRE.
Yeah, that's one big lesson I was reminded almost every day while I was here when I moved to South Africa, because I worked for a place called the Navalis Ubuntu Center, and I kept spelling it the American way.
The American way. Oh.
Yeah.
So all my upcoming meetings and retreats are all on my website.
Everything is on your website.
Yeah. So even if I can't remember anything, just go to my website and it's all there.
Okay, cool. All right, one final thought or word of advice to our listeners.
You're perfect as you are.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Jeff.
And I hope that you have enjoyed today's conversation with Jeff, and that you're walking away with new insights and new ideas that are going to support you in creating deeper, more loving relationships in all areas of your life. Please remember that when it comes to your heart, there's not such a thing as mind over matters of the heart. For your heart is the inner center of love, wisdom, and power that will always, always win. Until the next time we meet, I send you all of my love. Bye for now.